मेरा नाम हैदर रज़ा है और मैं अभी यहाँ आ रहा था तो उन्होंने कहा आप किस कॉन्फ्रेंस पर जा रहे हैं, वो ये चमड़े वाली या फ्यूचर वाली. So for a moment I said, what a great opportunity. We are all future walas now. Have you heard of, names called this wala and that wala? Rehan Allah wala, some sada wala. So we are all future walas. So I for one am Raza, future wala. What are you? You're all future walas. Anyways, so much for humor. My name is Haider Raza, and I do not belong to Deal Card. Where they got that from, I am sort of not even close to being an entrepreneur. I'm a disastrous entrepreneur, if anything at all. But for all practical purposes, I should say we did help Arzish, and when he came to us for a proposal 8-9 years ago, God knows when, we said, the guy looks good, and his name starts with A, so that's starting off the alphabet, so something must be good. And then I said, no, his name is Arzish Azim, so it's a double A, so he's probably going to be double in luck, and so we wrote him a check for twice as much. And then we support him on an annual basis to connect and propose with the rest of the world. But so much for that. My background, for all practical purposes, is very shady and sketchy. So I won't get into my credentials and my background, but I'm so passionate about the whole thing about Pakistani and the Pakistani opportunities that for all practical purposes, while I put up a slide over here that is unbelievable, how many of you do believe that we truly have $1 trillion opportunity? Yes, no, maybe some? 6 hands. That's 6 hands out of 17. 8 hands. Any more? So here's my point. My point to you is that, is anyone going to rotate the slides, by the way? Is there a chance for sort of, so I'm going to speak ad lib, but if you'd be so kind as to just flip the slides, we'll take it from there. So here's my point. We live in a world where we as a country, we have a recorded economy of about 300 billion, and the world that we live in is 100 trillion. जी? यार ये आप में से कोई कर दे, मुझे याद है, हिफ्ज़ है, आप लोग करते रहिए, मैं बोलता रहूँगा. तो so for all practical purposes, we live in a world that is so huge and so rich that for all practical purposes, we have nothing to lose if we try to grow whichever way we can. The second thing is that we live next to China and next to Middle East, which itself has got, a substantial portion of that 100 trillion economy. So for all practical purposes, all we have to figure out is how really to get there. Now, the point everyone has been, am I boring you guys, by the way? Who am I boring? Who is bored with my, numbers and this and that? Fatma, you're bored. Okay. So bear with me. Here, as a future wala, what you've got to ask yourself is, then where are these opportunities going to come from? So technically speaking, there is essentially technology, but more than technology, there are also business models. Before really sort of getting into the details of what business models really are, if you try and do whatever you're doing, whether you are a doctor, lawyer, engineer, entrepreneur, whatever, in a way that is different from someone else, you've got a new business model. That's, in simplest of terms. Other than that, if you start using software, if you guys start developing an application, if you try and use, automation, there is technology for you. And technology does necessarily not only come from computers and software and hardware and this and that. technology also comes from ways of putting things together as well. So, for example, in farming, you do not necessarily have to have just computers to help you with your farming and agricultural production. It can be in ways you bring your tractor together with something else and cobble that together. So that's technology. The thing about that is that by and large, even in a country like Pakistan, you have the access to technology that doesn't cost you anything whatsoever. And therein lies, I think, a larger opportunity, which for all practical purposes is software-based, but that software for all practical purposes is being replaced by, as we hear the buzzword, artificial intelligence. How many have not heard of artificial intelligence? Everyone's heard of it. How many know anything about artificial intelligence? I personally think, by the way, I'm a technologist, I'm a trained engineer, I work in artificial intelligence, but I will tell you this, that artificial intelligence is probably the biggest hype and the biggest buzzword, and by the end of this year, the AI hype is going to be gone like the dot-com hype and so on and so forth. So don't be too mesmerized with it and just wait, for my prophecy to sort of become reality at the end of this year. Will we meet next year? Yes, inshallah. And we'll meet next year in this hall with more numbers, hopefully. So artificial intelligence, for all practical purposes, whatever it is one of those things that is being hyped, but it is a reality of sorts, and it's coming in to take our jobs. It's going to come and take parts of various other parts of our lives and work-related stuff. But there's going to be essentially a change that will increase the amount of work that you can put out there. For example, if you are an engineer, if you are a student, if you are a teacher, if you are a business person, you will get all kinds of facilities so as to increase how much you can produce, how much you can earn, and how much you can grow, and how much you can compete. All of that is coming. Those details aside, I feel that for yaar koi to kar de. Hello? No one's on my team. Fatma, can you mobilize? I want more slides. Ajay, I'll do it. Give it to me. Lao yaar. मैंने समझा था मैं आप पर भरोसा कर सकता हूँ. I know. I need an artificial conference next time, or conference organizer. So, for all practical purposes, the thing that makes an economy, a society, a person really grow is basically, there are two things that make people grow. One is investment, money to go to college, money to start a business, money to do this, but on the other hand, you have potential, and your potential for all practical purposes is your ability to do certain things, and in that lies productivity. And so we don't talk about it, and we all go and say, oh, I need investment for this, I need money for that, I need cash for this, blah, blah, blah. But actually, if you look at your lives, we have come here 90% because of the effort that we made and, the utilization of our intellect, education, talent, passion, and that's productivity. So one of the best kept secrets for a country like ours is tap into our passion, tap into our imagination, tap into our initiative, tap into our network. And productivity leads to our individual and collective growth. Formally, it is something that I'd rather not get into it because it gets boring And, I've been advised by my friends that I have left over in my life that I get too technical and I get too deep. So I refrain from getting into all those details. But productivity, go and look up the word and find where your latent or hidden productivity, talent, and initiative really lies. Okay, so much for that. What I want to illustrate is that $1 trillion, for all practical purposes, is 100 million people who are earning $10,000 at a time or in a year. That's what $1 trillion really is. And we are 250 million people. So, if you do the math, if 150 million of us sleep and the other 100 million earn $10,000 a year, hey, we would have done $1 trillion. Is that math right? Have I done the right math? 10,000 multiplied by 100 million, is it $1 trillion? No one is awake. I know everyone's getting bored. Okay, I think this is the slide that I want to show. I'm going to remove. यार इसमें वो pictures सबकी नजर आ सकती हैं नहीं आ सकती? अच्छा, there you go. यार दिखाओ, दोबारा से दिखाओ, refresh करो. As you guys can tell, I'm a real, take charge type of a person. Got to show everyone's face. So without boring all of you, here are some heroes from this town, except that lady in red, who's from another town. I'll tell you where. But, yaar, isko refresh to karo, yaar. I know, wait a minute. In the end, I'm going to offer a prize. यार इसको तस्वीरें तो मुझे किसी तरह से दिखाओ यार. यही तो सबसे ज़्यादा अहम स्लाइड है. I guess Future Fest ran out of some budget for really nice, good screens. We've got to increase the budget next year. Anyway, so listen, these guys are all from this town except one. You're going to tell that later on. Later on. There's going to be a prize for that. And each one of these people really started from virtually nothing. Nothing at all. And it's really a living example of how productive all of them have been. And can you imagine? Let me ask you. Let me quiz you on if you know who these people really are. Anyone know who you don't want to take names. I won't take names, but just show of hands. Of all these people, do you know who they are? You know how many? Anyone? You know one? You know one? Anyone? Okay, so does any one of you who raised your hands, do you know how much they're worth? Or how much their companies are worth? I should have shown this slide right in the beginning, actually. What do you think this lady is worth? How much do you think this lady's company is worth? Hello? Just pick up any random number. 100 million. What is this man's company worth? Pick a number. 60? Sorry? 70 million. This lady's company worth? 200? Did somebody say 200? How much? 200. What do you think this guy's company is worth? And these are people in this town nearly. Say that again? 700 what? And these are million rupees you're talking about? Dollars. So we're talking dollars. So this guy's company is worth 700? Any other guesses? 223. 223. You reading the newspaper, are you? What do you think this guy's company is worth? 186. What do you think this lady's company is worth? Sorry? Does anyone know who this lady is? Excellent. They're all from this town. Do you know what this guy's company is worth? Do you know who this guy is? 2 out of a room full of 250 people, only 2 know who that person is? 3 people. 4. Excellent. All right, here we go. By my estimate, about $750 million. Right there, Mona Kusuri. $1.9 billion. This guy's from Lahore as well. By my estimate, $350 million US dollars. $600 million. Anyone know his name? Anyone know him? From this town, $550 million. This lady, her company is worth today probably $25 billion. Do you believe that number? Does anyone believe that number? Have I shocked you? This girl is born and raised in Lahore. Her company is WhatsApp. She is employee number 5 at WhatsApp. She's not worth $25 billion or $30 billion, whatever it's worth. It is, she has a large portion of it. But she's employee number 5 at WhatsApp. And my point to you is a very simple one. I know this fact, but none of you know how productive this town really is. And these are some of them. I would say there are dozens more in this town that have been very, very productive. Now, here's the trick question. Why did I leave this over here? But you're reading my mind. It is illegal to read anyone's mind at this conference. Please, somebody challan him. All right. So who's this? It could be any one of you. But because he's put me on the spot, you don't know me from Adam. Anyone know anything about me? Do you think I could be an entrepreneur? Yes, no, maybe? Maybe? Well, I can tell you for a fact, I flunked my high school once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. Does anyone know? Do you want to guess how many times I flunked my high school? 17? 17? 17. Anyone else? 15. Now, this is the more important question. Do you think I graduated from high school? Yes, no, maybe? Maybe? No, it's a binary question. It's either yes or no. You can't be a little bit pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not pregnant, right? So, did I graduate from high school or not? I graduated from high school. I did not graduate from high school. I did not graduate from high school. What do you think my qualifications are? Poetry and music. Anyone else guess what my actual diplomas are in? I really want to shock you guys because I'm a real living person and I'm a high school, not a dropout. I'm a high school flunky. I flunked my high school here in this town 5 times and never graduated from high school. What do you think my diplomas are in? Mechanical, IT, diploma. So I've got a bachelor's and I've got a master's. So, 5 years after my flunking drama came to an end, I sat in a tuition center and sat for 3 A-levels and got a full scholarship to a first-rate university in the United States, and I've got a bachelor's in aerospace and a master's in electrical engineering. And this is not a plug. This is not a shameless plug, to say what a great person I am. But by that same token, because I decided to become productive, and I graduated with whatever, I did start 2 companies. Claps. We must applaud Future Fest for bringing me out here because I'm just on the spectrum. What do you think my first company was worth, or what was it sold for? I don't have any portion of it for various reasons. But the first company I founded, here in this town, by the way, what do you think it was valued at when it got sold? $550 million. Honest to goodness, true story. You Google me, you probably won't find that number. But I've started another company out of San Francisco. So I live here in this town, but I commute to San Francisco every month. And that's where I make my living. So tell me, what do you think the second company is worth today? It hasn't been sold as yet. No, it's close to about 400 million, 500 million. And what I'm trying to illustrate is not my credentials or my achievements or anything of that sort. But what I'm trying to illustrate is 2 things. One, you have a number of people who become highly productive. One more time. Close to about 700 million, 750 million. Close to about, I think, he's crossing 2 billion. She's easily going to get to $500 million. He is going to get to $1 billion, his company. This guy probably is going to, level off at $1 billion. I think she's now more of an investor rather than an employee. So she's going to be worth about $1 billion. And he, with your support, he could be a billionaire as well. But for all practical purposes, there are many, many, many more. And so $10,000 as a number for 100 million people, when you have, a bunch of people who are in hundreds of millions of dollars, is not that far-fetched. To go from here to $1 trillion in this country for 100 million people is definitely doable. Any questions? Any questions? No, great. Did I bore you? Did I entertain you? Did you enjoy? Well, have a great Future Fest, and thank you so much. I truly, truly appreciate you coming to listen to me, but I hope you did get some benefit from it. Thank you.